Hello, everybody. We're going to do the next part of my journey. We did the first part last week, or I did the first part last week. So I'd like to from there and just share with all of you that I appreciate all the comments that I got and how you appreciated what I shared. So I'm appreciating that you appreciated. Let me get comfortable here. And to me, it's important that I continue to share this journey because it's so meaningful to me. And I know that last time I talked about going to University of Metaphysical Sciences, and that was a really wonderful experience for me. Before I went to that university, I got my degree at Antioch University, which is a very alternative program, and I was able to take courses outside of their school to add to my degree. And that's where I got my degree in counseling psychology. But I was able to go to school at Matthew Fox's school in Oakland, the Center for Creation Spirituality. And in that time, I took a class on drums, dreams, and remembering, which was taught by a beautiful, beautiful Native American. And then I also took a class on past lives, and we studied a lot of Stan Grof's work. And Stan Grof did many, many studies, trying to support people getting in touch with past lives. And of course, he started out using chemicals, and then eventually he went to breath work and helping people regress back. To me, it all really made sense, and I believed in it. I felt it, and they shared tapes of people that were actually regressed into a regression state, and then went into past lives. And so I was able and privileged to be able to do classes outside the norm when I did my master's program. And the one thing that I thought was pretty cool is I wrote my story at that time in my thesis paper. And of course, I met all the standards that you need to meet in writing a thesis paper, but I also was able to incorporate, and I read a lot, studied a lot, but I was also able to incorporate my personal story. And so I wanted to share that with all of you because the information that I got back in having submitted my thesis was that usually they don't accept that much of a personal story. But because my story was so intriguing and engaging, they allowed it. And so I was able to get my thesis supported and get my degree. I think that's pretty cool, that they accepted that because, my story is important to me. It's, part of the evolution of my life. So I wanted to share that with all of you because it was during that time that I was reading a book called The Camino, and it was a book that Shirley MacLaine had written. And I had read a number of Shirley MacLaine's books early before that, before I even went to school. And when I would read what she wrote, like out on a limb, it resonated. It resonated as truth for me, and it fit. And then when I read The Camino and her trek through Spain doing the Camino, I knew that someday I was going to be doing the Camino. I felt so called to do that. And of course, in that book, if you've not read it, she wrote about her past life experience when she was there in Spain before. And so again, I was called to do the journey and take time to go to Spain and do the Camino. And luckily I had a partner that supported me. I took 6 weeks. It's a 500-mile trek, backpacking. And I had support from my partner, which is pretty cool.
That would be me.
Yeah, that would be you. It was life-changing for me. It was very important to me, and I learned so much. And of course, on the walk, on the trek itself, the first couple of weeks, I was pretty much in survival just because, you start in France and you go up over the Pyrenees into Spain. And I tell you what, it was the first 2 weeks were all physical. And how am I going to survive this, even though I trained for it? And then the second 2 weeks, I kind of settled into, okay, I can handle this physically. And then you go into more of a mental place with all of it. And then the last 2 weeks for me were completely being connected in spirit to what I was experiencing while I was there. There were many pieces all along the way. So my point is that I want you to know that when you feel called to something and it's knocking at your door, to listen. And if it resonates as something that's important to you and right for you, to know that you don't have to explain to anybody why you want to do that or why it's important to you or why you believe in it. Your spirit, your soul is not going to lie. If it fits for you, that's wonderful. If it doesn't fit for you, when you hear things, when you listen to spiritual teachers, if it doesn't fit for you, it's okay to say that's not my truth. That's not for me. And that's important because you are your own authority. You are absolutely your own authority. And no one can tell you what is right for you. What I will say is if it is for you, it will stick. And if it's not for you, it won't, and you'll know it right away. It's all connected to your intuition, your heart, your spirit. It's all connected, and it's very different than what you receive through your brain. Your brain's wonderful because it has helped you survive, and it's how you think, and it's a great part of you. A lot of times our brain is very fear-based, so it will keep you from doing things that you might believe in, want to do, know that are your truth, because it doesn't want you to step outside what you're already doing, because it is survival based and you are surviving. So you might have a little bit of a struggle between your brain and your heart, which is connected to your spirit and your intuition. But you'll know it'll resonate through your whole being when it's true for you. So I wanted to share that piece. I wanted to share that I was drawn to go to school in educational systems that were non-traditional. I knew that I wanted to be a therapist. I knew that I wanted to do the kind of therapy which is much more than talk therapy. I wanted to do breath work, trance work, bioenergetic work with people. Luckily, we are partners, and so we have had a practice for how many years? 33 years?
34.
34 years. So we've been blessed to walk with many in their journey. And when I started my own process in counseling and therapy, all this was not even, something that I thought was important or even put energy into. And the more I was introduced to it, I believe that my body tells me, and I can trust my body to know what the truth is. I can trust my heart. I can trust my spirit. I didn't buy it that we had guides and teachers and angels and all that. I think I always knew that we had angels, and I didn't buy all the other stuff, like I said in the last video, until it resonated for me. That started for me with pretty much with Shirley MacLaine's books. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then I read some books by Mary Summer Rain. And that was life-changing for me as well. It took me outside the box that I had been living in for so long, which was pretty much about survival and living in the now and not believing that I was a multidimensional being in a human experience, which is what I believe now, and that I've had past lives, and I have contracts that I've made with people in my life that we agreed to before we came into this life, and that in every relationship that I have, there's purpose and meaning, even if it's very difficult. I know my truth is that there's meaning in it and there's purpose in it. And it's something that I agree to with that other person. I shared last time my story around Russell. Um, Even my mother, my father, all of those were agreements that I made with them to come into this lifetime, my siblings, and have these experiences. And there's sometimes they're very difficult, and sometimes they're like wonderful, and even the very difficult ones are wonderful because they help you evolve and grow your soul. So even in the times that we are in today, where things are changing very fast, I heard a speaker today that I valued, and she talked about, if somebody was not familiar with the birthing process, if they walked into the birthing room and were hearing the cries and screams from the mother giving birth, they would think, oh my gosh, this is horrible. Stop it. It's torture. What's happening? Because they can't see and don't know that what the outcome is this beautiful being that is being born into the world. And that is where I see us today, is that there's so much going on, and so many of us are having a difficult time with the changes that are coming and what's being said and the news. And so I think of us as that we're in a birthing process. And yeah, it can be pretty hard and painful. And I also know that it's all part of the process, and that we will come out on the other side, and we will have the ability to look back and see the purpose in all of this. So to me, it's important that I stay in touch with my own spirituality, with my own knowing. And for me, that's a bigger part of my life today than being in my head and trying to figure things out. That could have to do with my age, because I'm older now, and I do a lot of ceremony. I wanted to share this with all of you. I have a bowl, and in my bowl I have hot water, and in the water I have peppermint and rose oil. And so before I started this today, I did a smudging of the room, which was a clearing of any energy that may be in here that isn't for our highest and best. And I use, which I was gifted, which I cannot believe to this day still that I was gifted with this beautiful eagle feather that I keep in a sacred place. And when I smudge using the water that has the oils in it. And I use this beautiful eagle feather. To me, that's important. Ceremony is important. Daily, I do some sort of ceremony to start my day. It can be something as simple as lighting a Palo Santo stick, maybe sage, a candle. I do that with intention. And to me, it creates a sacredness for me. It creates a clearing for me. It creates a what would you call a pathway, a connection that deepens.
And the groundedness.
And it grounds, yes, very much so. You can't see a lot of it, but behind us we have an altar, and it has crystals that are meaningful. Those are Vince's crystals. They're meaningful to him, and of course they're meaningful to me too. We both have made sticks that we use that have a crystal on them, and they're wrapped with cloth and leathers that we picked out that felt right, and we used that as a way to cut cords. Cutting cords is a shamanic practice, and we cut cords of relationships that no longer serve us, that we know that we're ready to cut. Like, we can carry with us into this lifetime generational patterns, generational things, for example, alcoholism. So if you're ready to cut that cord, you can cut the cord with intention with these particular sticks that we have made. Ceremony can be anything that has meaning for you. And I encourage you to think about that. What colors mean something to you? What essences are right for you? Jewelry, yes. You probably don't know, but I wear pretty much the same jewelry all the time because every piece of jewelry that I wear has meaning for me. And it's important to me that I wear it. I'm not a big jewelry person. What I do wear has meaning. And I just think colors are really important too, things that bring light into my life. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I just wanted to let you all know that. Doing a little smudging here of all of you. So. And this is a pottery bowl that was given to me. It's actually a little picture that was given to me by a dear friend. And you can use any kind of a container for that. So I wanted to continue with that because as I do readings for people, I do smudge the room before they come. When they get here, I smudge them. And to me, that's an important piece. I start out with the meditation where we call in the angels and guides and masters and teachers, loved ones from other dimensions and realms that are meant to be here. And I open that up and call them in to be here. And when I do a reading, I've asked a person to send me a couple of questions before they come so that I can go into a meditation and connect with their guides with their permission. I can't do any of that without their permission. The person coming in for a reading needs to give me permission. Now, that doesn't mean as a person that does what I do channel, and there are times where I will get information that will come through. And like for the first time that ever happened to me, I was driving down a street, and there was a person on the side of the road, on the side of the street, on the sidewalk that was a homeless person. And I saw that person and I knew their whole story. And it came in so fast that it actually took my breath away because it was like so much information. And I didn't quite know what to do with that. And I don't know why I got the information about that person. I didn't know why I got that information. So when I had that experience, I went and saw the person that did readings for me so that I could ask that question of my guides. And they just said to me, it's we're giving you an experience of knowing that you are a vessel, that you have this, and you can be, if you have the permission and you have the desire, you can receive information. Now, that person, I didn't know their name, any of that. I just knew their story. So when I do a reading, I go in with the permission of the person that's asking for the reading and a couple of questions. I go into a meditation and connect with whatever guides, angels, masters, and teachers want to come through at the time. Now, they may not all come through every single time because they have different experiences in different areas. And so, but your script guide will always come through. If you have, any other readings, your script guide will usually always come through because they're always with you. But you have other guides that come and go. You also have guardian angels. Everyone has 2 guardian angels that are with them always. And they are only here for you. They are here for you and to be an assistance to you when you want it, you have to ask. They cannot interfere. So they're around you all the time, and they can do things like try to remind you that they are near you and that you're not alone. And they can, sometimes create an experience where you feel like a wind go by you, and you're like, where did that wind come from? It could be one of your guardian angels say, hey, pay attention. There's stuff going on right now that's important for you to be awake to. Or you may see them as an orb. Um, it's helpful to me to know that they're there. And I often will say, please give me a sign. So most important is I want you to know that you are not alone and you are surrounded with loved ones, and to pay attention to your own energy. I believe that, there are many of us that travel at night when we're asleep, that we leave our bodies and we go to other places and we are an assistance to others. And, sometimes you may feel like you're not getting any sleep. It's okay if that's your experience to recognize maybe I'm going somewhere and helping others. And I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty worn out. And it's okay for you to say, tonight, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to sleep. I need my sleep. I need this. And say no. For me, when I have guides come through, sometimes it is in the middle of the night, and it's important for me to say, not now, not now. And then there's also, like, for example, when I was in Spain, they are in love with Marilyn Monroe, right? And one of my sons has just an affinity for Marilyn Monroe. And I was working on some things with him in our relationship. And so when I got to these particular villages in Spain, all I saw were Marilyn Monroe posters everywhere. So my son was literally in my face. He actually believes that he was Marilyn Monroe in another lifetime. So it was so good for me because we've had a tumultuous relationship. I was able to grieve a lot and release it into, the land, into mother, let her hold it, carry it, compost it. And there was no accident. I was in a place that all I did every day was walk. I walked from one village to the next village. Of course, I met beautiful people and went through amazing villages and saw so many beautiful cathedrals. And, but mostly all I did every day was walk. And so I had the time to process through so much of my relationship with my son for myself. And the stuff with Marilyn Monroe, it made sense that it was something that I saw a lot of. I remember I walked into the first village and I was dog tired. We had walked through up and over the Pyrenees. We were exhausted. I went with two other people and walked into the town, and there was a bar. They call everything bars there. And they had their music turned up, and they had this song, La Bamba. And that was a song that my son sang when he was little. Remember that? He just loved that song, and he would sing it, just like perform it. And I just fell to my knees. I fell to my knees and sobbed because it reminded me of him. And I was raw. I was raw from having walked that day and pouring down rain and thinking, oh, can I do this? So I was pretty raw. And then I hear La Bamba, and there's pictures of Marilyn Monroe all over. I was taken down to my knees. And luckily I had two friends with me that supported me. They were right there with me as I grieved. We did that for each other. And that's another piece that's important is I think it's so important to look at who you have in your life that you're close to. Because if they're close and you have a connection, it's not your first time together. Most likely, it's not your first time. And you probably will have experiences of, oh, this is like deja vu. Well, it's probably because you've had an experience like this with them in another lifetime. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. I think that, I wanted, if there's anything you wanted to say or add to that, or questions that you might have that would help me.
I'll add the one piece kind of going along with pay attention to the signs. What I would often do, we would give each other 3 weeks every year to go off on our personal journeys. We would support each other. So when Sandra wanted to do the Camino, I supported her. In one of my journeys, I did a reading with the same channeler, Joan. And I asked my guide, because I was going to go off on a vision quest, but I wasn't sure what to do or where to go. So I brought the question to Joan, and she channeled. My guide was talking to me and said, "How about the desert?" And I was not a person, I love it in the Pacific Northwest, and I like water, and I like trees, and I like mountains. So the desert was very, very foreign to me, and I just thought of it as a barren place. And I said, well, the desert in the Southwest, okay, that's big. Where should I go? And the message was, pay attention to the signs. Yeah. And I said, what do you mean by that? Because I'm so practical. I wanted to pin him down for a particular answer. And he would laugh at me because my guide's name is Michael, and he would he always had a wonderful sense of humor. And he says, you can't box me in. Just listen to the signs, because when your intention is pure, the signs of what you need to do will be right there in front of you. So I walked out of that reading kind of frustrated, saying, okay, well, I'm going to go to the desert, but I have no clue what I'm doing, where I'm going. And then all of a sudden, as I was just going about my daily life and routine, there were pictures of the Grand Canyon that would come up all over the place. It was on a billboard. It was on the side of a bus. There was even a movie called The
movie came out.
The movie, The Grand Canyon, came out. And I remember chuckling to myself, okay, I'm listening to the signs. So that was my journey. And when I did that journey, I went there. People had said, well, you have to make reservations. You have to plan, because they're booked out 2 years ahead. When I took the journey and the drive down there, I just walked up to there at the front desk saying, well, I'm here on a journey and I need a place. And oh no, we're booked. Well, would you take my name down just in case? And then I went to another place which was supported the hike down into the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
The Bright Angels.
Yeah, it was the Bright Angel Hotel, which is right at the beginning of the Bright Angel Trail, which would take you down to the camp. What was the name of
the river?
To the river.
The ranch.
Yeah, the ranch. And there's a ranch back and I left my phone number, and they called me back within a half an hour and said, we have a room, and we just heard about a cancellation. Would you like to have the cancellation so you could go down, take the hike the next day? And so I spent those days, and to me, that's the story of how spirit works. When it's your intention, and if you're open and willing to follow things, even though your brain isn't sure what's going to happen. When you go with pure intent, the way is shown to you. And that was a very, very magical trip for me, both being able to be at the canyon and just be in the radiance and the magnificence of that area, but then also to hike down to the river.
That was Phantom Ranch.
Phantom Ranch is the name of the ranch. Thank you. It's and I was so sore after I woke up the first morning, and I said, I can't do this. I am so sore. I can't imagine trying to walk the 9 miles back up to the top of the Grand Canyon. And I went to the desk and say, is there any chance I can spend another night to rest? And they said, well, no, we're full, but if you take some time, we'll get back to you. And they called me in, and sure enough, I got to stay a second night at the ranch. And then the next day, I was able to do the journey up and out of the Grand Canyon. When I finished that experience, which was so magical, I'd gotten up. You leave very early in the morning, like at 5:36 in the morning. I got up at 1 o'clock, and I thought, well, I'm gonna go take a nap and then uh, go to dinner. Well, I laid down in my room, and I didn't wake up till the next morning. From that time, I'd heard in my journaling, I got a message, go to Sedona. And I drove to Sedona. I had never been there before. Just followed the map and went to Sedona. And I went into Sedona, and when I saw the Red Rock platform in Sedona, the message came to me, this is a place where you're going to do a lot of vision quests. And we've been doing vision quests, training people and taking them on our vision quests. And for more than 25 years. And we've been there at least 18, 19 of those years
Right.
to Sedona. And it's been an absolutely magical place for us. But that first trip to the Grand Canyon, all I did was drive in, look at it. I spent a few hours there, and then I left and said, and I got the clear message, you'll be back. So when you open yourself, and that's the leap of faith Sandra often talks about, and our guides often talk about. You hear the message, many are called, few respond, because there's a leap of faith that when you hear information, it's being willing to trust the process.
Right. Yeah.
Follow the information because it doesn't make sense to your brain. But when you allow yourself to be there, it resonates in your heart. And people would always say to me, well, aren't you scared? Or what are you doing? You don't have plans. You don't know where you're going to stay. And my experience after all of these years of taking these trips is that when it is right for me, the way is open. And I don't have any problem finding places to stay. And I find great joy at being in whatever area or location because it's my spirit that guided me there.
Yeah.
So that's my story.
That's great. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And I will say to you that we do have a group that meets starting in June of every year, that they meet for 11 months. And it's pretty much a spiritual quest of exploring and practicing different spiritual ways, modalities, and introducing what we know to them. And then the 12th month, we go somewhere like Sedona, and they can take time to go out and have their own vision quest out in the desert. They find a place, and we're there. We have a home that they can come back to, a lodge that they can come back to and are welcomed back in, and then have a place where they can share whatever they want to share about their experience. And, we do a lot with animal spirits and all kinds of things. And so they have all of that going out, and it's amazing what crosses their path and what they come back and what it's given them an opportunity to explore and expand about themselves. And I love that we've been doing that for so many years. And I also think that, there's been a long time that I haven't wanted to go very public with what I do, other than with people that I feel that are open to it and safe. And I have been encouraged for so many years to go public and even to write. And I'm not a writer. I can write, but that's not my forte. But it just isn't. And I know that would be good for me to do. And so I'm ready. I'm ready to be more out there in the public and share more of what I do, and not worry about, if someone's going to, label me as, crazy or whatever, or too out there. Because what I know is that the right people for me and me for them will connect. We will have a connection, and there will be meaning in that relationship, and that those that are not in that place and connected in that way with me, they'll go their own way and won't buy what I say. They won't believe in what I say. It may open doors though for people that they haven't ever even thought of. And I think that we are in a time where it's so helpful to me to know that we are so much more than this human, physical, third dimensional self. We are in this experience right now, but we have so much more that we are than that. And so I'd like to end for now, but next time I might talk more about our chakra system and how we can cleanse that, how we can stay connected and let our chakras give us information. Some practices like that may be helpful. Do assessments of our chakras don't lie. They're an energy system within each of us that give us information about what that chakra is related to as far as our life. And so I'll probably do more of that next time, but I feel like we've been on here for over 35 minutes, so it's probably enough for now. So thank you if you've listened. Thank you. I'd love to hear any kind of responses from you. And thank you. I've enjoyed doing this. So
Peace out.
peace out.